Southeast Asia's gender pattern was strikingly different from that of its neighbors and trade partners in China, India, and the Middle East. Up until the 19th century, Southeast Asian women played economic roles equivalent to, though different from, those of men, and therefore had more latitude and agency than their European, Chinese, Indian, or Arab counterparts. They monopolized textile and ceramic production, shared agricultural tasks, dominating planting, harvesting, and foraging, and most importantly, did most of the marketing and business. The status concerns of Southeast Asian men made them particularly inept in managing money and marketing. European and Chinese male traders dealt largely with local women and found their own local sexual partners extremely helpful in their business. America's gender pattern was strikingly different from that of its neighbors and trade partners in Mexico, China, India, and the Middle East. In the mid-20th century, American women played economic roles equivalent to, though different from, those of men, and therefore had more latitude and agency than their Mexican, Chinese, Indian, or Arab counterparts. They monopolized the secretarial and telephone operator professions, shared factory work, dominating routine, repetitive tasks, and most importantly, did most of the grocery shopping and managed the household budget. The status concerns of American men made them particularly inept in typing letters and dialing telephones. European male traders dealt largely with local women and found their own sexual partners extremely helpful in their business.
You know, women workers can be surprisingly good producers, and it helps a lot to get them off to a good start. When breaking in any new worker, and of course especially a woman, you've got to explain every angle of the process down to the last detail. And since most of them lack mechanical background, you've got to study every job and subdivide it into simple operating steps. It's a good idea not to use trade terms, except, of course, where we must, and then explain in plain language exactly what such terms mean.
A shop for batik, the native cloth from which many Javanese garments are made. Javanese batik is known all over the world. The best comes from Jogja. Most of it is made by women during their spare time at home. If worked on continually, about 10 days would be required to decorate even a simple sarong, while elaborate patterns would take many months to complete. With a little instrument called a chanting, a sort of batik fountain pen, a solution of melted wax and rosin is applied as a pattern to those portions of the material not to be dyed. It's tedious work, for both sides of the material must be covered with the identical design.
Women workers don't mind routine, repetitive work, and they're particularly good on work that requires high finger dexterity or an unusual sense of accuracy. The inspection foreman did a good job of breaking in those girls.
When more than one color is wanted, some of the wax is removed after the first dyeing, another pattern applied, and the cloth re-dyed. When the colors have set, the material is dipped in warm water to remove the wax, and the batik is finished. In father's spare time, he takes care of the baby.
Here's to the ladies, the fair and the weak. Fair they are, we'll all admit, but who dares call them weak? Our modern girls play as hard and with as much vitality and stamina as any man. How do they do it? Where do they find all that energy, that seemingly inexhaustible store of pep and ginger? What is that whipcord resilience that lets the weaker sex play half the night, then bob up clear-eyed, ready for the next morning's work. This frail creature strikes her typewriter keys about 40,000 times a day, spaces 7,000 times, shifts to capitals and returns the carriage more than 1,000 times each. Altogether, a few ounces at a time, she exerts more than 5 tons of pressure on her dainty fingertips in one day's work. And any way you look at it, women's work is not for sissies. Most men would have a hard time of it if they were to change jobs with wife, mother, or girlfriend. The homemaker walks miles every day, from sink to icebox, from cupboard to stove, and from kitchen to dining table.